Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I decided to take you along on my journey throughout my colonoscopy prep day because I know a lot of people don't really know what that entails. And then if I can, I'll try to share with you the day of my procedure as well, as much as I can. Obviously, I can't show you the procedure, but I'll hopefully be able to at least touch base with you afterwards and kind of let you know how everything went. So what I'm having done tomorrow is a colonoscopy, which looks at the lower part of your digestive system. Then I'm having an upper scope, which looks at my esophagus, down into my stomach. And then I'm also doing a pill endoscopy, so I'll be swallowing a pill camera, which will be able to show the entirety of my digestive system. So today is the day before that procedure, and I have to maintain a clear liquid diet before I take my prep, which I'll share with you in a little bit. But so far today, I was able to have a low residue breakfast before 10 a.m., which I did, which for me was two eggs and then 1 piece of toast, white bread. That's not always the case for everybody, so definitely follow your prep instructions. That's just what my doctor said. So now it is about lunchtime, so I'm having some bone broth in a little mug, and then I'm also going to be having some lemon Italian ice. So basically, if you're not familiar with clear liquid diets for colonoscopies specifically, it has to be something you can see through, like coffee and tea without cream. You could have soda as long as it's see-through, which most of them are, I'm pretty sure. Jello, no red or purple. Any kind of sports drinks, no red or purple. So a lot of yellow and clear basically is what my diet tends to be. So I'll share with you some other things I eat throughout the day, which won't be anything exciting, just forewarning you now. But other than that, I think I'm just gonna eat this, and then I'll check back in with you when I start drinking my prep, which is in a couple hours. So I'll see you then. Okay, so this is a horrible angle and horrible lighting, but I'm about to start the first bottle of Clenpeak, which is my colonoscopy prep drink. I'm going to be drinking this and watching my show, so I'm going to try to drink it a little bit slow. I don't want to give myself an upset stomach, so I'm going to speed through this part for you guys, and we'll go from there, so wish me luck. Okay, so it's all gone. It wasn't that bad. I mean, I know I was like making like grimacing faces, but this is much better than other preps I've done. It just tastes like very, very, very sweet cranberry juice. It's almost a little sour. It's not bad. It's only, what does it say? I think it's only 5 ounces. It's pretty small. But anytime you have to drink something like this, it's not going to be pleasant, especially if you've been fasting all day. I feel like that's why I feel kind of bad now. I typically get a little nauseous when I'm not able to eat solid food, so that's what I'm kind of struggling with right now. So we'll see how quickly this stuff works. I'll keep you in touch without being too graphic with how things go, but I may do my next check-in after things calm down a bit, if you know what I mean. So I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, my appearance has declined because this is the second round of drinking, and it is just after 1 in the morning, so I'm gonna finish this and maybe try to take a little tiny nap before the bathroom escapades begin again, so wish me luck. Okay guys, so it's the morning, very early, just before 7, and I'm on my way to my appointment. I had a very long night of going to the restroom and not sleeping very much, obviously, so I'll probably have to check in with you after my appointment and let you know how it goes. But if I'm too groggy from the sedation, then I'll just do a kind of all-encompassing follow-up afterwards when I'm more too, so I'll talk to you guys then. Okay guys, so as you can see, it is a brand new day. This is obviously not immediately after my scope, but I wanted to check back in with you guys because obviously I kind of left you hanging on the way to get my colonoscopy and upper scope done. And honestly, I planned on checking in with you guys like after my appointment, even if I was, you know, a little loopy from the sedation, but to be honest, it was one of the most traumatic scope experiences I've had. And I don't want to like share this with you guys to scare you, because obviously early detection and getting your scopes when you're supposed to is definitely very important. But I do want to share with you what happened, and then, you know, just make sure moving forward you guys read the reviews and your doctors and really advocate for yourselves. So anyway, with that being said, I want to tell you kind of what happened when I finally got there to do my scopes. And this doctor, which I'm not going to mention by name, but I am going to privately do what needs to be done. So what happened is I got there, I got all checked in, everything was fine. I obviously had prepped the night before, as you guys saw, and that was all good. I got checked in. The doctor came in like super brief. He was kind of standoffish and kind of like he didn't want to be there, which, you know, is obviously a big red flag. But I was like, okay, well, I'm already here. I already did the prep. I'm not just gonna cancel my appointment, which I kind of wish I did, to be honest. So they took me back, and I had reiterated to them many times, you know, that I'm difficult to sedate. I don't know if it's a red hair thing. You guys can look that up if you want. There's this kind of myth slash not really a myth that redheads are harder to anesthetize in certain situations. So I know from personal experience during my very first colonoscopy, like years and years ago, that I woke up during it. It was pretty uncomfortable. So, you know, I said to them, you know, I can feel what's happening. Then they were able to give me more medicine, and I don't remember the rest, which is what you're supposed to experience. You know, you're not really supposed to remember most of what happens. So I just was like very nervous, and I was telling the nurses there, I'm like, you know, I know there's messages in my chart also that discuss this. So me verbalizing it to the nurses, and it's in my medical chart, you'd think it would be pretty common knowledge at this point to at least monitor me a little closer. So instead, they started with my upper scope, and all I can remember is choking and gagging and like wanting to cry for help basically for at least 10 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. I could see them taking biopsies. I can't even describe the feeling of being like so helpless in that moment and basically feeling like you're choking to death. It was awful. Awful. And then obviously they moved on to the colonoscopy after that, because that's what was scheduled. That I have done unmedicated before, which I do not recommend. That's a whole nother story time, but I could hear them talking to each other. I could see them taking biopsies of that. I mean, it was just, no one was monitoring me, obviously. Or they just were trying to just get through it as quick as they can, hoping I wouldn't notice. It was awful. So as soon as that was done, they took me to recovery, which they were supposed to do the pill capsule at the same time. I know, guys, I kind of told you about that already. And just drop it in during my upper scope, just so I don't have to worry about trying to swallow this like massive camera pill, which, you know, he decided just to not do until afterwards, so I would just do it anyway. So that whole thing was pointless. So they finally brought my husband back, and as soon as I looked at my husband, I just started to get teary because of what I just had gone through. It was truly a traumatic experience. And I know I'm dramatic sometimes, but this was one of the worst things that I have experienced in my life. So I looked at him, and the doctor came in for another 2 seconds and basically said, oh yeah, she did it well, really well. She tolerated the procedure well. And I was like, did I? Because I was awake most of that time. And he's like, well, you know, you were definitely at least asleep for the colonoscopy. I'm like, maybe for part of it, but the fact that you're saying that means you know I was awake for most of that upper scope. Even though I had expressed to you that that was the one thing I did not want to be awake for. Because obviously gagging and choking is bad enough, especially when you're sedated, and it just was awful. So he totally tried to dismiss my feelings and also tried to almost convince me in an altered state what his agenda was rather than what really happened. I don't know. It was literally so awful. So then after all of that trauma, I just go ahead and swallow this pill camera, which, whatever, at that point, I was just so frustrated and I wanted to leave so bad. So I got dressed, obviously, because you have to wear this big belt, and I wore that, you know, and then after that you can't eat anything right away. After a normal colonoscopy and stuff, you're allowed to eat something, so after basically 2 days of not eating, I had to continue not eating or drinking anything. And I went home and they told me also not to lay down or cover myself with a blanket. So after being exhausted and I'm starving, I can't eat or rest, basically. So I don't recommend doing that all at the same time. If I were you guys moving forward, if you have to do a pill camera, just do it on its own. Don't try to combine it, because unless if it's this doctor, he won't even do that anyway. So anyway, after that, about 5:30 that night, I was finally able to take all the stuff off, eat something, and finally rest, but I felt awful. I was just so like nauseous from being hungry for so long, and then from the anesthesia, and then not resting. It was just really bad. So I have to say, of the 4 colonoscopies I've had, this was by far the worst one, and I have to say it probably has to do with that doctor. I've had great doctors in the past that are constantly monitoring me to make sure that I have the adequate level of sedation. This guy could have given a crap less about anything, about just getting in there and getting out. And even his follow-up call, he just doesn't seem to care. So I don't know, guys. All I'm saying is this was definitely not the experience I was intending when I started this video, but I want to be honest with you always. And like I said before, don't be scared. This is kind of going against what I just said, because this was a scary situation. But I want you to know that it's still super important to get these scopes done if you need them. So it did turn out that I do have a precancerous polyp that they're gonna have to monitor moving forward. I'm still waiting on some other results, but that's the only good thing that came out of this. Not that that's good, but it's good that we know about it so we can monitor it. So anyway, long story short, horrible experience. Hands down, it has to do with this doctor. And I looked at his reviews afterwards, which I should have done before, but they're awful. So make sure you do your research on doctors, and if you have a gut instinct in the beginning that this is not going to go well, nothing's going to like be crazy if you have to just stop the procedure and say, no, I'm not doing this today. So, but still, get your scopes done. It's very important. Like I said, I've had 4, so obviously the other ones didn't scare me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have had this many. But anyway, I'm definitely going with another doctor and a different kind of anesthesia, because there are alternatives if you are difficult to sedate. So just look into all your options, and I think I'm just going to wrap this up here, guys. I'm sorry I didn't give you more immediately after the procedure, but honestly I needed a little bit of time to kind of gather my thoughts and recover emotionally and physically from that day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.